Hello, everyone, and welcome to the program Business Point on Global Television. I am Samuel Odi. On today's edition, we'll be looking at the hike in interest rates, which is at 27.25%. And the CBN governor, Mr. Cardoso, says that the reason why the monetary policy keeps getting tightened is a way and a form to curb out inflation. So questions are being asked. If the monetary policy is being tightened, it's going to be hard for, borrowers to be able to borrow. And then he also says that they wouldn't want, the CBN don't want so much money in circulation, that with that effect, it would be able to curb out inflation. So a lot of questions have been asked. How do you intend to do this when people wouldn't have enough money to go ahead and produce products? Because one, the more production we have, the more products we have in the markets, and then the more people would be able to purchase. Then we'll have purchasers will have purchasing power. This is what has been argued by different business analysts. But now, the CBN governor says that we have to do this, that the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is taking drastic measures, tough decisions, so as we can enjoy long-term goals. So we'll be looking at this angle where how SMEs will survive and how manufacturers and producers of services and as well as products that we tend to use on a day-to-day basis will need to survive in terms of borrowing to run businesses. But before we get into all of this conversation and x-rays, I have a guest who will be joining me virtually all the way from Ibadan. But before we get into those conversations, I want you to bring you up to speed with this business report by Kike Lomo Okere. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hello and welcome to Business Report. As the Nigerian oil and gas sector continues to grasp for breath under the heavy weight of underinvestment, low crude oil production, and the gradual exodus of international oil companies from its shelves, the federal government finally approved an all-inclusive tax relief package as a way to recapture investments in the deep waters operations. This package, which offers significant tax cuts for liquefied natural gas, compressed natural gas, and other gas-related products, appears to be government's last major push to keep IOCs from turning their back completely on Nigeria. According to the recent data, the country has seen no fresh investment from these IOCs in over a decade, with the last significant deep water project being the $3.8 billion EGNA FPSO project by Total Energies in 2013. In contrast, these companies have been pouring billions into offshore assets in other countries. These nations have secured investments of over $82 billion from IOC in similar oil and gas ventures within the same period, leaving Nigeria at the critical crossroad. Following the approval by the federal government for the tax incentive, the special advisor to the President on Energies and head of Energy Office of the Presidency, Oyebade, says the project is expected to attract about $10 billion investment in the near future and restore Nigeria back as a favorable destination for oil and gas investments. Oil prices continue to rise on Monday, with Brent approaching the $80 mark, building on last week's sharpest increase since early 2023. The gains were fueled by concerns over a potential escalation in Middle East tension and possible disruption to export from the key oil-producing region. Brent crude future increased by $1.09 or 1.4%, reaching $79.14 per barrel as of 13:16 GMT. Meanwhile, U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures climbed $1.15, that is 1.55%, to $75.53 per barrel, after earlier rising by more than $2. Brent crude surged over 8% last week, while WTI jumped 9.1% amid concern that Israel might target Iranian oil facilities following Iran's October 1 missile attack. Tension escalated on Monday as rockets from Iran-backed Hezbollah struck Haifa, Israel's third-largest city. Meanwhile, Israel appeared ready to intensify ground operations in the southern Lebanon, coinciding with the first anniversary of the Gaza war, which has further fueled conflict across the Middle East. This situation has heightened fears of a border war potential involving the United States and Iran, Israel allies and adversaries respectively. The Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries and its allies, including Russia, known as OPEC+, plan to increase production starting in December following recent cuts aimed at supporting prices amid weak global demand. While OPEC+ holds sufficient spare capacity to counterbalance any disruption to Iranian supply, analysts warn that it could face challenges if Iran retaliates by targeting oil infrastructure in neighboring Gulf nations. At the onset of the Middle East conflict a year ago, Brent crude was trading at $88.15 per barrel. Nigeria's local produced diesel accounted for just 2.16% of the total diesel supply in 2023, a slight decrease from the 2.50% recorded in 2022. This is according to data from the Petroleum Production Distribution Statistics Report of the National Bureau of Statistics. Despite a 6.76% increase in local production, rising from 102.47 million liters in 2022 to 109.39 million liters in 2023. The growth was outpaced by the substantial increase in imports. The importation of automotive gas oil, also known as diesel, surged by 23.64%, climbing from 4.00 billion liters in 2022 to 4.94 billion liters in 2023. The increase led to a 23.23% rise in the total available diesel, which reached 5.05 billion liters in 2023 compared to 4.10 billion liters in the previous year. The growth in the import caused a further decline in the share of locally produced diesel within the total supply, emphasizing Nigeria's dependence on imported fuel to meet domestic demand. The drop in the share of local diesel production highlights the challenges facing Nigeria's refining capacity. Despite efforts to boost local output, the country remains heavily reliant on imports to satisfy energy needs. Kikelomo Okere, Global Television News.
Yes, many thanks for staying with us, and thank you so much, Ikenamo Okere, for that business report. Now, let's get right into it. Now, there have been a whole lot of challenges around coping inflation. Then the CBN governor had to come with this new strategy of tightening the monetary policy and then increasing the interest rates to 27.25%, right? So, in his defense, he says that all of this is being done, these tough decisions are being taken and being put in place so as to enjoy a long-term goal, not just for us to have it's easy, and then we wouldn't get a long-term goal that's going to help, curb out inflation and then help the economy grow. So on this note now, there's a lot of factors, a lot of things that people have said is going to affect, given the fact that prices of goods and services is obviously going to skyrocket, because if an SME gets a loan to start up a business, obviously he would want to make a profit, as well as not just making profits, be able to get the cost of the money he borrowed, and then so you'll be able to pay back. So on that note, it brings me to the point of me introducing my guest, who is a chartered accountant and as well as a public affairs analyst, Dr. Oyebade Oyedepo. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining on today's edition of the program.
Good morning to you, Samuel, and good morning to Nigerians.
Yes. So, sir, you're a chartered accountant, and I'm sure you know more about monetary policy. So now, are there no other alternatives that can be used to curb out inflation instead of increasing the monetary rate?
Before I delve into that,
Mm-hmm.
it will be expedient for us to analyze the current policy of the CBN to know whether it will combat inflation or not.
Yes.
And I'm going to do that, in plain language,
Mm-hmm.
so that an ordinary citizen can understand, what the CBN is about to do,
Yes.
whether it is of benefit or not.
Mm.
Number one, there is correlation between interest rate and inflation. No doubt about that.
Yes.
When you perceive there is more money in circulation, propelling inflation, you can increase interest rate to dissuade people from borrowing
Yes.
in such a way that you are going to mop up, the money in circulation. The moment you do that, what we are saying indirectly is that, more money should not be chasing fewer goods.
Yes.
Making, so with that, we are going to curb inflation.
Okay.
But that is inflation is demand pull. Is as a result of the people that people have excess money with them and they are buying fewer goods. In that kind of scenario, there is no way by which the prices of goods and services will not increase. But in Nigeria's situation,
Yes.
we don't have more money in circulation. Even if we have more money in circulation, the money is being handled or being owned by only a few people, not the generality of people. It is when you have excess money in circulation owned by generality of people that you can assume that there is more money in circulation. But in the Nigerian situation, the excess money in circulation is due to the fact that only few Nigerians are holding up to that money. But what is causing inflation in Nigeria? In Nigeria, the inflation is being propelled by the cost of production. We are having increase in the cost of production, and that has been there for years. And the cost of production keeps increasing. One, as a result of the fact that the interest rate is increasing, and the fact that we have a lot of the goods being purchased at increased cost. Maybe because they are imported and we have devaluation of the currency. So the cost of materials are increasing, and also other expenses are also increasing. So the price at which those products will be sold will increase. And that's what we are having in Nigeria. The inflation that is being propelled by the increase in cost of production. Now, if you now want to increase the cost of the interest rate, what we are saying indirectly is that the cost of production should keep increasing. This is the only country that have seen the cost of production increasing as a result of the fact that we're having an increase in interest rate. In other countries, they don't do it. The moment you discover that you have increase in cost of production, you must do everything possible to catch that increase in cost of production. But the CBN, in their wisdom, has increased the cost of production again by the sudden increase in the interest rate.
Yes.
It's never done. You cannot curb inflation propelled by cost of production with the increase in interest rate. Because what the CBN is trying to do, one, they said they want to mop up the money in circulation. There is no money in circulation.
Already, yes.
I beg to disagree.
Yes.
There is no money in circulation. So, if now by now increasing the interest rate, you are going to create unemployment.
Yes.
Apart from the fact that the inflation cannot be curbed. you know, because so many industries will lay off their workforce. Because if you are producing and you are producing at a loss, what do? You lay off the workforce. You trim the workforce. You know, if care is not taken, some other businesses will relocate out of Nigeria. Some will go under. You know, and when you lay off the workforce, you are indirectly promoting insecurity in the land. You know, you are indirectly promoting lack of patronage, even for people, you know, artisans. Because it is when people have money that they will patronize artisans.
Yes.
So take for instance a company that has about 20 cars, taking them to mechanic and this and that. So if they reduce the number to about 10, the artisans will no longer have patronage.
Yes.
And with that, you are going to create, you know, unemployment, and consequently, it will lead to insecurity in the land. Instead, what the CBN should do is to reduce the interest rate drastically. When they reduce it drastically, it will encourage a lot of people to go and borrow it, because we need industrialization in this country. This country is not developed as a result of the fact that we don't have industries. They should crash the interest rate to promote industrialization. So that so many people will go into massive industries. They will go into agriculture. Interest rate should be at rock bottom rate. As agitated, our interest rate should not be beyond, you know, a single digit. It should not be beyond 9%. In such a way that you are going to encourage a lot of people to go and borrowing. We don't have capital. We don't have funds to go into industrialization in this country. We don't have enough money to go into agriculture in this country. We don't have enough money to go into mining in this country. Then how can you develop? There is little the government can do about industrialization, apart from the fact that they should encourage them by giving them, you know, rock bottom interest rate, you know, and give them moratorium, maybe about 10 years to repay those loans. If care is not taken, even the loan that have been given out by the commercial bank will remain unpaid. So you have a lot of bad debt, bad loans, because people will not be able to pay. They will not be able to pay the capital, not to talk of the interest we are talking about. So, and when, you know, we have bad debt, even the banks are at the risk of collapse. The workforce in the bank are, you know, at the risk of being laid off. The taxes paid to the government may not be there again, because when businesses are not producing, or what businesses are producing at a loss, even the taxes due to the government will not be paid. So it has a lot of massive implications. I want to encourage this CBN governor and his team to go back to the drawing board, to reappraise it, in order not to create unnecessary crisis for us in this country.
Yes, talking about crisis, because we are suffering food insecurity, which is obviously one of the crises we are suffering in Nigeria. But look, moving still on the subject matter of this increment in interest rates, right? So how can the central bank now be able to monitor the policy and again see to the fact that this this interest rate that has been increased from to 27.25% is going to yield to a better outcome in the long run, because the CBN governor in his defense says tough decisions like this need to be, you know, taken so as to get a long-term, long durable solution to the economic challenges that we're facing. So, how key is it going to be for the central bank now to be able to monitor all of this?
There is no monitor they can do that can give any benefit. The policy has no advantage as far as the situation is concerned. I advise them to go back to the drawing board and reverse that policy. It is, you know, they have been increasing the interest rate for the past 2 years or 5 years, and the case may be. You know, it has not addressed the situation, and it will never address the situation. It can never address the situation. You cannot continue to do the same thing and expect a different result. So is that the only way by which they can combat inflation? I disagree with them. So it is either in the short run or the long run. It cannot produce any benefit for us in this country. The same thing they did to petroleum products, removing the subsidy on petroleum. Has it addressed situation? Has it brought benefit to us? Rather, it has created untold hardship on the economy and on the people. So I can't see any short and long-term benefits in the policy. It should be reversed.
As a chartered accountant, Doctor,
I have suggested it should be reduced to the barest minimum.
Okay.
Single digits interest rate.
Okay, as a chartered accountant that you are, Dr. Oyedepo, how do you think, what do you think can be done to be able to cover the inflation rate instead of tightening the monetary policy and increasing interest rates? What other alternative do you think can be put in place to help curb out inflation?
Number one,
yes,
is the fact that we have to show up production of goods and services.
Okay.
Take for instance, farmers are not planting, and the sort of the fact that they don't have capital.
Yes.
Some of them are not planting as a result of the fact that we have insecurity in the land. So we have a lot of reasons why people are not planting. We don't have industries, viable industries, again in the country. So we are not producing goods and services.
Yeah.
So what government should do is to able to show up production, supply. The supply chain has to be shown up. So encourage people to go into farming, encourage people to go into production of goods and services, industrialization.
Yes.
Solve all the problems associated with lack of, including insecurity, food insecurity. So the moment we are able to show up production, we will have a lot of goods and services in this country.
Yes.
And when we have enormous goods and services, that means that you have filled the supply chain. And when you have excess goods in circulation, whether anybody likes it or not, the prices at which they will be sold will crash.
Yes.
It is because we are having deficiency in the supply chain that we are having all these problems. So, and one of the ways by which we can fill the supply chain is give people loan at rock bottom interest rate, pure and simple. I've told you a lot of people want to go into production in this country.
Yes.
But some are not going to it because they feel that it is not attractive. They feel by the time you produce, you are going to sell at a loss.
Yes.
So some are not going to it as a result of incessant government interference and government policies. We can throw them out of production and out of profitability, out of liquidity. So some of them are not going to it.
Yes.
And that's why some of them are going to service-oriented businesses.
Okay.
Which can generate income, within 3 months.
Yes.
Production cannot generate income within 3 months. It has to be years, 5 years, 10 years, before you can start reaping benefit of, industrialization.
Okay.
So the moment government can do all those, I am telling you, the prices at which goods and services are sold will automatically come down.
Okay.
But if that is not done, there is no other shortcut to it.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Oyebade Oyedepo, for your input. This is how much time will permit us to take on today's edition of the program.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. So, like he rightly mentioned, production is the key to curbing out inflation. When you have enough goods and services, automatically price of whatever it is you want to purchase would obviously go down because if a price is high in one vendor's outlets, you might just decide to go to a different vendor and then get it at your own budgeted price. That's how much time will permit us to take on today's edition of Business Point. My name is Samuel Odi. I'll see you again tomorrow as we x-ray other angles of business. Bye for now.